Gay male masculinity is problematic, Queen. Hey, it's Prince of Queens, and the proliferation of unashamed, healthy, and non-forced masculinity within the gay male community has long been a priority of mine as an individual since long before creating this channel. You see, despite the fact that I have a rather feminine-sounding voice in the grand scheme of things, and in spite of the fact that I used to present as rather feminine when I was quite a lot younger, I also have always been into stereotypical guy stuff. So as I've aged, I've become more and more butch, or a bit of a bear, or whatever. I like video games, vigorous debate, extremely competitive ping pong, have enjoyed a fair amount of aggressive music, and am primarily attracted to guys with a bit of facial hair and masculine demeanor, and tend to present that way myself. Which is not to say I won't have sex with sexy femme guys on occasion, don't get me wrong. Interestingly enough, it would seem that after going out to a huge percentage of popular gay bars over the course of over 15 years, it looks like a likely majority of gay men are actually fairly similar. They appear fairly masculine. You'd be amazed by how many gay guys enjoy things like sports and video games, and they are attracted to other guys that are like that. However, it's not like anybody who doesn't attend gay bars or goes to gay hookup sites to browse regularly would know any of this, of course, because pretty much all we ever see in mainstream media and pop cultural depictions of gay guys is fairly different. In the past, there have been a few somewhat accurate depictions of what gay culture is really like, such as the HBO show Looking, which was cancelled fairly early on, most likely due to the fact that it was simply boring for the target audience who already lived lives that were basically exactly the same as the characters: male, gay, and relatively normal. With little media representation that is like that, I imagine that the impression people outside of the gay male community have started to gather about us has become less the fairly normal guys that many a prior gay male activist fought for us to be seen as, and back towards the sassy drama queen archetype that can easily be found on such extraordinarily popular shows as RuPaul's Drag Race, which is like America's Next Top Model for queens. Now, in case anybody is going to try to put words into my mouth, and I'm sure there will be some people who do that no matter what I actually say, I'm not an individual that believes that gay men should necessarily be masculine, feminine, or anything besides what they want to be as individuals. It is not my place to police how people behave, especially in terms of personal behavioral mannerisms, and I think the vast majority of gay guys would agree, or we'd all probably be trying to force ourselves to be straight in order to make our grandparents happy. Still, that doesn't change the fact that most gay men are attracted primarily to somewhat masculine men, and likely aren't actually screaming queens themselves. Which is why there are countless hookup profiles that say masc for masc or masc only, and is why there are countless bars and clubs that manage to sustain profitable business by catering primarily to the gay, male, and masculine demographic. So what's the problem with this state of reality? Drag queens are entertaining, which is why RuPaul's Drag Race has been on air for 10 seasons now, and while masculine gay men might not make for the most universally fascinating television, which is why Looking was cancelled, they still manage to do okay in nightlife and on hookup profiles. So things should even out in a way, right? Well, unfortunately, it would appear that once again, something else is going on, because even within the gay male and even the gay and masculine male community itself, there is division amongst its ranks. There are masculine guys that are okay with masculinity. I've definitely met them. I would consider myself to be one of them. And then there's the guys who shame other guys for being masculine. And we can safely assume that it's because they're male feminists. As a cultural commentator, it's been super easy for me to sit around complaining about feminists as if they are an outgroup that tries to bully the gay male community from the periphery. But what happens when it's full-blown Stockholm syndrome and the masculine guys are feminists themselves, ashamed of their own masculinity and the masculinity of their peers? You see, a bit over a week ago, I ran across this meme on Facebook, further showing yet again that the left can't meme. At first glance, just about everybody who is attracted to men will look at it and think to themselves, well, I don't mind looking at that. But then you read the caption and you think, tox-masc? What exactly is toxic about it? It just looks like every other gay night that's marketed to masculine gay men, to me. At which point, you can read the fine print to determine what exactly these people who made the meme are getting at. 1. Leave your emotions at the door, also a $25 cover. Okay, right off the bat, nobody should belittle club promoters for how they estimate the supply and demand for their event, especially considering how packed these events tend to get. If you can fill up a club for $25 a head, more power to you. I probably won't show up myself, but more power to you. And please direct me to the nightclub where everybody is overly emotional the whole time. I'm not sure what they're getting at about the leave your emotions at the door. Don't people always do that when they go to nightclubs? I don't know. 2. You say genderqueer, we say get out of here. I've honestly never heard of people kicking out genderqueer people from a gay bar upon sight, but assuming it does happen, I've never personally been one for exclusive events of homogenous populations, which is why I don't go to events like these, personally. So why would self-identified genderqueer people potentially even show up to this event? I don't show up to events that aren't marketed to be things that are interesting to me. I don't go to non-binary queer nights, even if they'd claim to welcome me. I know that they are lying when they say that they are inclusive of white, cisgender gay men. So why bother going? 3. Only the straightest go-go dancers taking your gay dollars. Okay, that's a funny line. Simply because it's true. Half of the go-go dancers at gay bars are straight. I've mentioned that before in videos. Still, who cares? What's toxic about straight guys inherently? 4. Midnight performances of guys punching each other. Oh, come on. Could you say whipping or something that would make it somehow believable? Punching? I've never heard of such a performance in over 20 years of being an open homosexual. This is where they are showing their pro-feminist, anti-male bias very obviously. This line assumes that all masculinity leads to punching inevitably, and that's absurd. Though, for the record, there are good reasons to punch people on occasion. 5. 3 levels of shirtless muscle DJs playing the exact same songs sung by women of color. No actual women of color in attendance. Well, this might be true sometimes, but last I checked, there were also countless gay nights where they play electronic music that doesn't have any vocals at all. And remember, it's a dude night. Why should women be there? They don't have to show up. I don't show up to lesbian bars. Now, apparently a number of guys had at least a somewhat similar problem with this meme that I do, which eventually inspired one of its creators, Leav, to write an article that he ended up getting published on Vice, where he complained about the backlash he received for this heinously sexist meme. Surprise, surprise, Vice wants to publish the guy that makes memes like this. Jeff has also written articles such as the one with the title, Why Gay Men Need to Get Past Masculinity. So we would naturally assume that Jeff would be some sort of drag queen or trans trender, probably not dissimilar to Sean Faye, pictured here. Except if we made that assumption, we'd be wrong. Here's a picture of Jeff, who has clearly gotten far past masculinity himself. And just in case you're wondering what type of guy he goes for romantically and sexually, here's a picture of Jeff with some of his multiple partners that he loves to write blogs about being with. He's polyamorous like almost every gay guy in big cities. But clearly Jeff knows something we don't. I mean, he's obviously pretty woke after all if he's getting gigs writing for the super hip media giant known as Vice magazine. Let's examine some of his text, shall we? Granted, it's largely too tedious to actually go through and full of the same types of rumors that we always hear about in these articles where they're shaming gay men for being misogynist or whatever. It's always some sort of social atrocities that have allegedly been committed against women and femme people at gay bars, the likes of which I personally have never witnessed in almost 15 years of going out to them. Still, what I think is worth pointing out is this little line right here. After Jeff admits that he's totally masculine and that it isn't a bad thing to be attracted to masculine men, which, he would have to because obviously, still, he tries to justify his article's foundational stance against masculinity with the following sentence, which I think sums up his character pretty well. I might be masculine, but the word masculine alone is problematic to me. Wait, sorry. Say it again? I'm just imagining a guy telling me this crap at a party. I might be masculine, but the word masculine alone is problematic to me. You know what I mean? No, I don't. I have no idea what you're talking about. And truthfully, you've never clarified what exactly is wrong with masculinity. You've gone to great lengths in a few articles to promote inclusion and diversity at gay events, which I don't necessarily mind, despite the fact that you obviously both present and are attracted to masculine men. But much more than that, this is where it starts to bother me. You've demonized the masculine gay masses. Not just hypocritically, but also with hyperbolic exaggerations that I honestly refuse to believe even exist in the current year. It has never been my experience that drag queens have not been allowed into gay bars, especially not ones with beards, like the one anonymous friend of his allegedly said happened to them. And I'm fairly sure almost nobody has ever seen a midnight performance of guys punching each other at a gay bar. Maybe in Berlin. I've never really been to Berlin, but I hear it's kind of crazy. But even much more than that, why exactly is any gay male inclined to shame bars, nightclubs, and event promoters for doing what they can to bring in attendees? This guy works as a doorman at a leather bar in LA, as he states in the opening paragraph of the article. I'm not doxing him. He, of all people, should know the long-term population mechanics of gay bars, which is the following. They tend to start out with a primarily gay male clientele, with the occasional hipster lesbian element and potential edgy music event, at which point more and more bi-straightual women start showing up, often because they enjoy drag queens and karaoke and maybe the hipster bands that play on occasion. And eventually, after the women show up, the straight men follow, because the easiest place to get laid as a straight guy is at a gay bar that is full of drunk bisexual women that mainly just want the D. This is gay nightlife rule number 1, and it is to be relatively expected if you are going to be catering to a mixed crowd or any crowd that focuses on edgy music. When a gay bar starts catering to a mixed crowd of guys and girls, there will always come a bunch of bisexual women, and with bisexual women will always come bistraightual women, and with bistraightual women will always come straight dudes. And then usually it's all over and they need to find a new venue. And so please, Jeff Leav, whatever, however you say it. Jeff, please don't shame guys, not just for innocuous traits that you personally exhibit, but beyond that. Please don't shame event promoters for what they do to keep paying their bills consistently, because they mostly probably don't get the occasional supplementary check from Vice magazine that you do. Okay, we all know you're probably getting like $1,000 for writing these type of nonsense articles from Vice. So don't shame people for throwing events to pay their bills who don't get that type of money. All right?